Hello and welcome to another random Automatch map cast over on Seasonal Map Cup. We have Finndeed versus Jove on Con, out of all places. Finndeed's running OKW Special Operations, Luftwaffe, and Fortifications Doctrine with the double Volksgrenadier Boltons with 3% increased accuracy and reload, and then 5% faster, or excuse me, 3% increased accuracy on Obersoldaten. I knew it was the Obersoldaten Bolton, just mixed it up. And we have Jove actually on UKF running special weapons, Royal Engineer, and mobile assault with triple infantry section bulletins, the 2% faster between shots and reload, 3% increased accuracy, and reload again. And we'll go ahead and see how he moves out and across on this. Surprised that Jove isn't videoing this map, to be completely honest. OKW struggles as well on that. This is typically a Allied favored map just because of the close range engagements, but with Brits preferring the long range stagnant engagements as they do get those cover bonuses and whatnot. It's interesting that it's on here of all places that he wants to fight and not veto, but building some sandbags up. He's getting everything taken care of. For those of you that don't know about the map layout, we do have a cutoff here and here. They are connected around through a secondary one for the map widening. It's still very, very difficult, but this does alleviate it a little bit. And a lot of destroyed building rubble, not so many garrisons, but it looks like we're going to have our first engagement hanging out over here onto the northwestern munitions. Still not a whole hell of a lot. They just kind of looked at each other sideways and then walked away. Finndeed trying to get around over onto this cutoff. That's his main goal. I'm assuming he's going to hop into this building. Now, it's important to note that this building cannot see out over here, as there is another building sitting down below. Maybe this is inaccurate. No, that's definitely another building with some rubble thrown around it. So, yeah, it can't see to the north. And, yeah, he's going right for that cutoff. So that's right where he's at. He's having the pleasure of having that return to him, and a little bit faster from Jove coming on in through. He's the Vickers to come support this triple infantry section loadout versus the quad Volksgrenadiers and Stern Pioneers. No truck yet for Finndeed. But everybody's being pretty safe. Now, what's interesting is Jove has his territory connected all the way up and around still, despite having this cutoff just neutralized, just a soft decap here and all the way. And with this, he's actually getting directionally negated from the sandbags here. So this unit will be the next one to drop, I'm sure, as it's not actually behind cover. So Jove winning this engagement just because the angle of the cover is favoring him a little bit more, but a flanking squad from the northwest of Volksgrenadiers will help push this infantry section on and away, and the UC is now the choice for Jove. And I'm curious if he's going to go the Vickers or if he's going to go the Wasp. Right now, Stern Pioneers finding some suppression from that Vickers over on the secondary cutoff to the southeast for Jove. And now, despite all that, he is connected all the way up and around. The only thing that he's really lost is this territory point for that half a second when his feet were in here from Finndeed. But as of right now, he's still having everything connected up, and realizing this, he's going to move on to the territory point and cap it up to take away, in the most convoluted way possible, the fuel finally disconnected. This will be short-lived, as the infantry section got to deal a ton of free damage in a long-range engagement, and now with the Vickers backing it up, he will be forced to retreat on out of here. And it is indeed the Vickers Light K, the mounted variant. In the middle, we have the weakened Volksgrenadier squad that engaged the infantry section over on the far west cutoff, grabbing up the middle VP, going to be forced away from that UC assuredly. Up in the northwest, we do have an infantry section staying a little too long against two Volksgrenadier squads, and finally is forced to retreat with only 2 models left. These UCs, a mobile suppression platform, it's going to be really difficult for Finndeed, unless he managed to get a snare on it, to actually utilize this in any real way. It's just going to continuously be annoying, and Jove, being the caliber of player that he is, doubt that he's just going to hand this over without some serious fighting. He's on down into this little plaza area and it's just spraying damage out. While that's going on, he's trying to fight the counteroffensive by capping in the southeast. And right now, Finndeed getting his truck out. The mechanized placed so far forward. I think he might have wanted that to be a battle group and change his mind at the last second. I'm not really sure. More sandbags being placed down just to negate the sandbags that were placed here by Finndeed in the far east. VP and the Vickers rolling around, gonna make short work of these Stern Pioneers, and Finndeed should just retreat here. They're so low health. If he stays for too long, he's just gonna bleed manpower and potentially lose that squad, especially with the retreat path just being completely open. Not negative cover on these roads though, so not as detrimental as it could be. We have our first set of REs out, and Finndeed is indeed ready to go. Building a Raketin doesn't want to deal with it much longer. He is using the suppressing fire to just back on and away, a little bit afraid there, maybe even potentially a misclick, but the Raketin will help him deal with a lot of these issues. Infantry section forcing the retreat off of the Volksgrenadiers in the western VP. But this P2, when it comes out, will be able to make short work of everything. The real question is, the AEC is more than enough to combat the P2 without sufficient backup. So I like this build order from Finndeed. The Raketin has double value because of the UC and the AEC that I am sure will be coming out momentarily. He hasn't upgraded it yet, but I'm sure he's going to be looking at that at some point. And we do have the mobile assault locked in. So M2 flamethrowers coming out on the sappers and commandos being able to be utilized from the garrisons across the map. Infantry section just taking some pot shots at the mechanized regiment. Not going to be able to do a whole hell of a lot of damage. He needs flamethrower or something to be able to do any real work to that. But he knows what he's looking at for his opponent's tech now. And nice modified M6 trying to be placed down right in front of a Raketin. The Raketin has to sneak on in through this, and the sappers are going to stop what they're doing, pick up, and come over and challenge us.
Enemy causing trouble, trying to take one of our points. Armored car construction can be ordered.
AEC queued up. There it goes. Yeah, just completed it. Infantry section force on it away. Pressure from Jove, very good. I don't like how he doesn't have these two territory sections yet. It's a lot of missed manpower as time goes on. Huge building with Vickers that's going to farm Vat 1, and then its range is going to be increased. It's just going to become more and more ridiculous as time goes on, and he retreated too soon! Finndeed kicking himself. P2 is going to hit shortly after the AEC hits, but he knows there's a Raketin out. Did he finish this mine? He actually just never placed it, canceled it outright, and these sappers hanging out again on, this time, the territory point, but he's cut off the entire north end of the map now from Finndeed. Having a hard time getting out and across this, and queued up another set of sappers and canceled immediately. Nice placage of a shoe mine in front of the M4C bulldozer carcass here in the east. STGs materialize out of the back pockets of these Volksgrenadiers fighting the sappers. AEC is going to show and find some Stern Pioneers out and about. Stern Pioneers not too worried about this. Vickers covering any sort of assault across the road into the plaza area with its ability to suppress these Volksgrenadiers, so the AEC is just free to take shots at those Stern Pioneers. P2, where is it headed? It is headed up in to combat this, but triple VP cap right now. Stern Pioneers bleeding for it. He might get these sappers on retreat. Very low health. Can they actually get it? Jove coming in to push it around with the AEC just to make sure that doesn't take as much damage as it should. And then he gets a nice little shot at point blank at two grouped up Stern Pioneers and drops another 60 manpower on the reinforced costs. The sappers do have the M2 and are repairing up right in front of the Volksgrenadiers while the Vickers mounted onto that Bren is firing away. SCG Volks behind what is an old marketplace stand there, getting taken out. Rakettenwerfer shoots the hell out of that statue, and this is why this map is hated by so many players, is they don't know. If he would have just sat right here, would have hit no problem, but any of these walls, you have to position around or the shots will just get eaten, which is inversely very important to note, as this P2 will deal next to no damage outside direct connects and the MG but if he was sitting right here with the P2 shooting, the AoE on the shells would deal massive damage. So flanking the cover is very important here, and this AEC might go down to the Rakenwerfer. He just goes in after that stun shot. Can he get the third one? Pop smoke, ground attack. It's gonna have to go through, and he manages to go past the wall. So my, what a great shot from that Rakenwerfer and from Finndeed. 6-pounder then queued up immediately from Jove, but nice shot through the smoke, over the wall, between the statue and the pillars. Everything that needed to happen happened greatly there for Finndeed, and Jove punished for his over-aggressiveness, and he queues up another AEC instead of going for the 6-pounder, and the mobile suppression platform of the UC is going down. He's going to need some mobility. I definitely agree with the choice of going another AEC, but is it too little too late? Losing that first one was very unsignature movement from Jove for sure. Now this will give Finndeed a little bit of breathing room, but he's got to get those VPs under control as he's taking a lot of bleed here. I cannot believe he hit that. P2 feeling great, feeling ornery, decides that the best way to engage this infantry section is by running through the building rubble and taking the building the rest of the way down. Vickers still hanging out inside this building. How close is it to Vet 1? About 60% there. Once it gets Vet 1, it will increase its range, which is, you know, the last thing it needed, but it will become even more annoying to deal with. And interesting choice here from Finndeed. He did go into the battle group. He's going in ISG. This is almost certainly special operations with this now. He's just going to rely entirely on his light vehicle play and then get the Command Panther out to deal with anything from UKF. And that's entirely okay as the Cromwell and Comet can't really do jack shit to a Command Panther, let alone a Puma, as they are just able to move faster around it than anything else, and the smoke and all that wonderfulness. So unless Jove decides or manages to get a superior lead and start wiping squads, it's actually looking like Finndeed's going to pick up the victory on this.
Jerry has 300 points remaining.
Now the big problem is that Finndeed was pushed off the map substantially earlier on in the game, and with his secondary AEC, he understands that he is really far ahead in tech advantage, which really lends itself again into Finndeed's strat, is that he's keeping his opponent delayed from that company command post by forcing him into a secondary AEC and just getting more and more value from the P2. But the movement from Jove has just been phenomenal. He's cutting off as much as he can, the soft decap to take the fuel and then moving onto the fuel directly. He's keeping all of Finndeed's forces spread all over the place and kind of forcing him to go, well, do you want VPs or do you want fuel? And at this point, I really do genuinely feel like with this not being capped all the way, moving 500 manpower worth of a squad over here when the P2 could easily just handle this is a little bit of overkill. He needs to get onto these VPs. He needs to win these engagements at the VPs, and he manages to do so at the middle area, but with all of the manpower here already from the Volksgrenadiers against one weakened Sapper squad, he could have easily moved the P2 down here to force this Vickers out of the building and get into the south VP as well. So maybe a little bit of mismovement, but it just goes to show you more so the pressure that Jove is able to put on to the map with a relatively stagnant faction, especially in 1v1. But now we have all the lovely Brens coming out on the infantry sections, and it's going to be really hard for these upgraded Volksgrenadiers to really deal with that. He only has one set of STGs ready to go, but this is a huge, huge, huge manpower investment from Jove on all these infantry sections. But I really don't see this ISG doing a whole hell of a lot. I mean, did he build it exclusively to get this Vickers out of that building? That's a lot of commitment of manpower for that. AC still marauding up in the north, the secondary one now. And that received accuracy bonus or debuff for those Volksgrenadiers, depending on who you're rooting for, is going to get a ton of damage, especially with those Brens and the M2 flamethrower while they build those sandbags. P2 not feeling too great about moving up and through here. It will come around the side of this building. Nope, looks like it's fine parking here. Worried about that AEC coming up and through, and while all this is going on, of course, he did lock in that special operations, which is not very surprising. MG34 queued up now for Finndeed. 6-pounder now the choice for Jove. P2 rolls right up. Of course, it can't get through that. Nice Mills bomb? Oh, no, it's just the base artillery. So that Kettenwerfer might be catching some shots. However, the statue might alleviate that, and one model gets taken down. But not much else, as they are going to get out of there. I like how he's utilizing the sight blockers here, especially with the Stern Pioneers, sending the Volksgrenadiers home. Stern Pioneers there to stay. ISG backing up a little bit, and there goes the explosion onto the statue. SG Volks coming on in through, and he has the munitions for upgrades, but still not going to use it. M2 flame-wielding sappers taking on the Volksgrenadiers. He does get the cutoff, so he takes away a territory point and the fuel. P2 comes to back it up, and if he's able to wipe this squad, it's doubly effective because that's a manpower and munitions upgrade. And there he goes. He moves forward a little bit past that truck and picks up the kill on retreat on those sappers. So all he has is the hazard removal squad now. Hazard removal squad working its way through the middle, and he might not even see these shoe mines, but with them sitting there being AFK, they will clear it up automatically, as you don't need to queue up the hazard removal squads to do that. He does have the infiltration commandos ready to go now. They only do come to the map with 3 models. The surprise factor, depending on where you fight at, could be extremely detrimental for Finndeed. But he's getting the VPs ready to go, and he does call them in. He finds the ISG and the P2. ISG is going to get dropped by these commandos at that range, and yeah, there it goes. So Caster's curse, I say it's going to happen, and then it did, but there's an incendiary chucked inside the building. He's going to try and get those guys to retreat. There is an opening on the back end here. He'll hop out and then retreat on and away. 6-pounder and AEC backing up any sort of aggression from the P2, and this Kettenwerfer is set up right behind the wall. It has a lovely view. And he's going to try and kill the ISG. He doesn't want to deal with it. And this is a good removal of a weapon that he doesn't want to deal with. 6-pounder also targeting it. Or Kettenwerfer not finding any shots, as it doesn't have the line of sight, even though it's inside of that area of effect, area of firing effectiveness, however you want to word it. But ISG goes down in its entirety, so knowing that he's not going to be able to steal it, maybe not even want to steal it, but just removes it from the board, so it counts as a squad wipe. Normally, team weapons, when they do get wiped, are not as bad, as you're just typically paying for a reinforcement cost on whatever squad picks them up, but Jove not wanting to deal with it and just removes it from the playing board. Stern Pioneers rolling up. Raketten finds a shot. 6-pounder returns onto that P2, though. Stern Pioneers wishing that they had the ability to pull the Faust out of their back pockets and snare up that AEC, potentially, but they will work their way back down onto the P2 and repair it up. Meanwhile, we have some SCG Volks hanging out inside of a building that cannot return fire at these sappers, as there's no window here, and the Vickers covering that middle VP, but South and North VP are in control of Finndeed. He's starting to finally bring down Jove into more acceptable VP lead. Maybe if Jove plays his cards right, a VP loss in comparison, as he's just going to continue to jettison forward, especially with 1 3/4 CPs left before he gets that Command Panther. He does manage to get the snare onto the AEC. Meanwhile, the MG34 and the SCG Volks in the south all being pushed on away. MG34 is still just kind of hanging out in the mid, but the Volksgrenadiers in the east do go home. 2 models left to their name. P2 trying desperately to get these Vickers infantry section away. Vickers in general getting dropped by these SCG Volks, and he does take it, so the P2 might want to come up and secure this. Commandos now repaired up, reinforced up to deal with the Volksgrenadiers that were eyeing up that Vickers and retreat wisely behind the AEC's old carcass there. P2 being repaired, 6-pounder not being supported. Volksgrenadiers on this south VP trying to deter that. Finds that 6-pounder out and about, unless there's a secondary one. That P2's free to go and do whatever it wants. Stern Pioneers get on the retreat path of this infantry section after the Volksgrenadiers are able to push it out from the superior cover of the building. casual explosion from the Stern Pioneers blowing up that old delivery truck, and the Vicar's still hanging out here. I like the infantry, or the infiltration commandos being cloaked up. And it doesn't look like too much is going to be done with that. The Raketin cloaked up here, all within arm's reach of each other, but nobody can see anybody else. And he might get a really juicy light gammon bomb off. He sees that mine going down. He's going to throw that light gammon right on top of the mine. He's going to retreat. And it is not fast enough, but he was lucky enough to not get wiped. So, infantry section, or excuse me, infiltration commandos do pick up 3 models on the Stern Pioneers. The Raketin Warfare MG34 doesn't want to mess with that, and the P2 is not able to deal enough damage as the double sandbags here directionally just eating up all of the shots. You can see all of them landing on this sandbag, and the 6-pounder and the AEC both smack the P2, and what a catastrophic loss of an engagement for Finndeed. He's trying to get out of here with the P2 intact, but the AEC does pick up the kill at the last second, and this is all with a Cromwell on the production line, and now he very well may steal that Raketin Warfare. And all of a sudden, not looking so great for Finndeed. He does have the command points ready to go for the Command Panther, but he has nowhere near the fuel or the manpower for that, and it is simply because he built into the Tier 4, opting not to rely entirely on the Command Panther. And that is a good choice, considering that he did indeed lose the P2. So Panzer 4 on the production line with Obersoldaten to follow suit afterwards. Cromwell's going to be out on the field for free a little bit, just completely uncontested. The loss of the Raketin Warfare is going to be so detrimental.
Cromwell gun tank ready for action.
Those Vicars just chewing up those SGG Volks at that close range, and he's going to be able to take this fuel and neutralize it. He's going to go for the full cap while he's being forced to sit onto that territory point, and he just retreats. He doesn't want to deal with it at all. AEC gets some veteran C2. Panzer 4 hits a fuel. Cromwell hits a fuel. Cromwell headed into the south. Let's see what he decides to do. Infantry section handedly winning that engagement against this MG34, and this is just the difference in cover. MG34 are going to be lucky to get out of there with its life, and it does. Meanwhile, in the middle, light gammon bomb comes down, destroys the sandbags from the infiltration commandos. SGG Volks finally get Vet 3. Doing a lot of work. The Cromwell is going to move over and try and push him off of here, and will do so handedly. Through the fire and the flames, the infiltration commandos do not retreat. Nice calmness there from Jove. Most players would have just outright retreated, but realizing that all threats are gone, he does go ahead and keep them there in order to cap up that middle VP, as they are getting a little bit closer, but it's heading into the territory of a triple VP cap in favor of Jove again. It's 330 to about 240 for Finndeed. Sappers on the production line yet again for Jove, and he's going to need that for the repairs, as he is into Cromwell's now, and this, I assume, it's going to have to be another M2 flamethrower squad. But the loss of the Raketin Warfare is really going to hurt Finndeed. He can't be as adamant or ambitious in his usage here of the Panzer IV. He does crush some of the plaster high walls at the middle VP to give himself a little bit more room. Now, this is a double-edged sword. This also gives the anti-tank guns a little bit more sight for them to be able to shoot at him. Volksgrenadiers moving forward. Obersoldaten grabbing up that south VP. No upgrades on them yet. I assume it's going to be the infrared STG. Hops into the building, sees the infantry section still hanging out there that just chewed up his fellow squad. Panzer IV takes a shot on the middle VP. Cromwell bounces, and he just backs away. He sees or assumes that the Raketin Warfare is behind it. MG34 has done nothing for Finndeed. Another Raketin Warfare being queued up for him to help deal with the Cromwell. AEC, secondary one, tooling around, trying to find some connections onto the Obersoldaten and shooting the old building carcass here, and then running into the sandbags. So Obers do cap that up. Sandbags are gone, so he's going to start taking some actual damage here now, unless the AEC decides to shoot right at their feet. Volksgrenadiers move up. They're looking for that snare, and they are indeed going to get it. Jove has enough for a land mattress. Now the ace! Oh my god, there's a Foss bug. Misses. And the AEC rolls out unscathed. Esports ready. Cromwell would love to try and crush these Volksgrenadiers, but currently not able to do much. Panzer IV reversing on into action. And hopefully will land a shot here. Does pen, somehow that's the rear armor. And he does get out of there. North VP changes hands yet again, so it will be under Finndeed's control. However, the infiltration commandos get the Obersoldaten to leave after that unfortunate Faust missing, and the South VP will change hands, or the Eastern VP will change hands again into the favor of Jove. And while all this is going on, we have a cheeky mortar pit basically in the middle of the map, sees the entirety of the map for the most part, and it's going to be quite the nuisance for Finndeed to be able to deal with. AEC trying to get on in through to these Volksgrenadiers, not able to connect until that sandbag wall goes down. The sneaky Raketen Panzer IV retaliation gets that AEC really hurting, and now the mortar pit is ready to go, and all of a sudden these stagnant fights are extremely in the favor of Jove. Now this mortar pit sees 92 meters from where it's at. So just to give you an eyeballs, like this is about 32 meters here. So it sees basically to here. And basically to here. Actually insane. Yeah, it just doesn't barely see the Western VP, sees half of the Eastern one. The range on it is ridiculous, and it requires 0 micro outside of the invisible force field button that the UKF clearly had, and this is why they won the war, is they're just able to make it invulnerable to damage with the click of a button. MD-34 again trying to set up to get some suppression down. It's going to find the squad in the east while the base artillery goes in the northwest. Panzer IV fighting the same squad, and MG-34 just getting smashed, and he sets it up again to move over into this, and this is a little ambitious, and he realizes that is indeed the case and goes ahead and retreats. Or stolen Raketen, or borrowed Raketen from Jove, courtesy of Finndeed, keeping the Panzer IV from looking for a nice juicy crush there. SGG Volks, Obersoldaten with the SG-44, the infrared package, the extremely large bonus on the squads behind cover, and Raketen from Finndeed lost again. I didn't even see it. Where did it go down at? I don't even know. In the middle VP, courtesy of the infiltration commandos again. Jove using those really well. Cromwell rolls down to the south, looking to push these Volksgrenadiers away from this cutoff. He's going to succeed, but not before the neutralization of that point. He'll retreat here momentarily, especially with the mortar pit and the Cromwell in tangent dropping 2 models immediately. He's going to retreat through this. He did lose a AT gun. It was the stolen Raketen. Cromwell misses that last shot as the Volksgrenadiers do get through the doorway there. SGG Volks get the wrap around onto this 6-pounder. He's looking to put the hurt on. The MG-34, finally the unsung hero, having a hard time. He does manage to get it incendiary onto the mortar pit. Infiltration commandos forced to retreat from the suppression of the little old MG-34. 6-pounder still alive and kicking, though. He's keeping it on the front. Cromwell does come up after the smoke starts to dissipate from the infiltration commandos on the retreat path, and Cromwell will be more than happy of getting those SGG-wielding Volksgrenadiers on and away, and just a non-doctrinal Panther from Finndeed. He doesn't want to wait. He's just going to queue up the production of a regular one. He needs something to deal with the Cromwell. He's not confident that the Panzer IV is going to be able to do that. So Panzer IV is going to be more of a generalist tank helping deal with the infantry. Cromwell finding some kills onto that squad behind the building carcass. More Volksgrenadiers forced on home from the south territory point. We did get it to switch around a little bit in the southeast. Uncharacteristic fuel connection from the south base to the east point in this game, and north to the west. So they have changed hands, but VP control still in favor of Jove, and we do have Finndeed just shy of 200. He's down in the 170s, while Jove's still at 300. He's waiting to bait. Now, what's really interesting is this pillar blocks sight. So he actually can't see right here. But he's baiting this Raketen warfare for a squad that's going to walk up and try and crew it up. And it might be, unfortunately, these Stern Pioneers, but it looks like that is not the case. Cromwell's going to roll through and just threaten the crush and get them to retreat. potentially? Nope. Mortar Pit, however, does fire into the MG34. This should tell Finndeed that he's under sight of something. Infiltration commandos are hanging around, but he might not have noticed, as it was about the same time as the Cromwell rolled up. He does grab the Raketten. Infiltration commandos now going to show themselves through that light gamma bomb, and immediately is going to get re-wiped. Nice little trap there from Jove, utilizing the camouflage. Panther is ready to go. Hasn't shown yet. It's getting its pintle mounted gun out and about, and he's going to roll right into the stolen Raketten and drive away. Now, there is a modified M6 here, too, to protect it. So if he does back away or feel a little ambitious for it in chasing, he could just get snared. It looks like the Volksgrenadiers just barely didn't put a toe onto it. Mortar Pit firing on and away. Base already coming down onto these Volksgrenadiers. Vet 4, he has to get out of here. An unlucky connection could really, really be the bad news. And he retreats after losing one model. The second one, if he would have retreated a little bit later, could have potentially gotten wiped. And the Panther will roll down into the middle area now. But Jove, more than happy, just utilizing this Mortar Pit to sit here and bully all of Finndeed's army back on off. And it really helps play into UKF's strengths, is that every single engagement, he's waiting for his opponent to walk into him, which just does fantastic damage. Obersoldaten do have the Vet 1 now. They do have the War Crimes grenade, the Blend Corper. He might throw it down here. The Cromwell pushing up and through, trying to get behind the Panzer IV, but it does meet the Panther. Panzer IV and Panther both trying to shoot on into it. Obersoldaten don't get much accomplished. War speed activated on the Cromwell, as it's taken a little bit too much damage for Jove to really feel confident in backing it out normally. 6-pounder did flank from the north, but wasn't getting that many connections onto this Panther. Meanwhile, the statue gets taken down a little bit more, and it looks like the 6-pounder might be in trouble. This could be the push for Finndeed that he needs. He has a 6-pounder on the move. He knows that's the only one. The Raketten is still cloaked up somewhere. Cromwell being repaired right here. He could push up into this. 6-pounder does reposition to support. SG Volks lose an engagement to the infiltration commandos along the retreat path of that 6-pounder. There's a stun shot from the AEC. Everything and its cousin is penning the Cromwell. Cromwell uses the smoke shot on the ground. The Panther is going to engage that AEC. Panzer IV is going to roll up in from the south. He needs to get this Panther out of here. That Cromwell, or excuse me, that 6-pounder is annihilating it. AEC goes down. He backs off at the last second. The 6-pounder's attack round misses. He does roll through the plaster wall with the Panzer IV after taking out the AEC, finds the Cromwell, and that goes down. But while all this was going on, he did manage to amass enough resources to get a Comet on the production line, and it's headed to the front right now. The Panzer IV trying to find this 6-pounder. Can he do it? Reverse the whole time. He's trying desperately. He even used the combat maneuvers, but it wasn't enough to get it into the base in time, so it does get dropped. And he's going to try and kill this before the recrew of it can happen. Can he get the shot off? And the Panzer IV does what it does best, misses at that crucial moment, so you just can't get the kill. And it's going to go ahead and get dropped by the freshly recrewed 6-pounder. What a fantastic, lovely aim on that driver. And I'm sure Finndeed has no harm, no foul on the death of that driver, as I'm sure he is very pleased with that accuracy on an inanimate object. But the Cromwell is now replaced by the Comet. The Comet, typically, in terms of cost to get to it, widely regarded as one of the worst tanks in the game. We'll see if Jove makes it look a little bit stronger. It is against a Panther, which is essentially a hard counter to it, and a Raketten. And this shot should be eaten by the doorway here. He throws another incendiary. Embrace might be gone. And that could be enough for the mortar pit to go down. He doesn't want to try and repair it with the sappers. We'll see if that is indeed enough damage. MG34 pretending that it's going to apply suppression at some point or another. Nice smoke nade. Infiltration starting to the infiltration commando. And the MG34 retreats. So far, Finndeed has been astronomically unlucky with several key engagements. I would have to say. Comet does find a connection onto these Obersoldaten Vet 2, so they do get a severely increased combat efficiency. And he's just chasing them. He's just going to try and bleed as much manpower as he can with, I believe it's 40 manpower per model drop on the Obersoldaten. It might even be 41. But the Comet does get the Volks to retreat. Panther rolls up, finds a shot as it's coming in at this nice close range on the Comet. Second shot is a pen. Comet just not able to pen it at all. And I believe that was the grenade from the Comet chucked out. I wonder what that explosion was there. Stern Pioneers pretending, but they are scouting out that there's a Raketten on that retreat line. MG-34 picking up in front of the infantry section. Meanwhile, another engagement all the way up in the west. The MG-34 does get the suppression onto that infantry section that can throw the base already. Volksgrenadiers standing in their own incendiary nade, move off of a little bit. And the Comet, he can't afford to lose, so he has to back on and away from playing against the Panther. In the middle, Raketten's still here. Panther rolling forward. Just going to look for some crush, maybe? Oh, just going to sit here and stare at him. Raketen sneaking around on the flank in the south. Sadly, he doesn't have enough for the artillery flares. He could try and scout and see if he could pick up the kill on that Comet, but just not enough munitions yet. Bet 5 Volksgrenadiers walk up and get smashed by that Comet. If he was wondering where the Comet was, he certainly knows now as they go down to 50% HP with one model dropped. Raketten that was stolen does go on home. Or its new home, I should say. Infiltration commandos being used really well just overall from Jove so far this game, setting up these traps, utilizing the cover really well. Almost gets a wipe on that other Vet 5. 3 Vet 5 squads now for Finndeed. His unit preservation has been fantastic this game outside of his team weapons. And that's more so because he's just been baited into traps by these infiltration commandos more than anything else. But his infantry sections have been phenomenally updated. And a nice snare there from the Volksgrenadier squad to pick up the snare onto the Comet. Panther taking a beating, though, from that 6-pounder Raketten and Comet all firing at it simultaneously. And that's a HE shot. Or, the phosphorus shot onto those Volksgrenadiers, and they're going to have to run on the hell out of there as their HP is insanely low. With the Union Jack bomb from Jove coming in from the north on that middle VP, he's going to have no problems hitting that retreat button. Same thing, HE shot used onto the Rakettenwerfer, forces the Rakettenwerfer away, and the Comet lives to fight another day. Obersoldaten and Volks move down onto the cutoff now while the middle VP changes hands yet again. But while all this was going on after the AEC, the secondary AEC, and the Comet pickup by that Panzer IV, he did bring Jove down from his high horse of the 300-plus VPs down to below 200 now. Only 30 VPs ahead of Finndeed's 165 to 195. So we'll see if he's going to be able to pull this out. Now, double Comet might be a little difficult to fight into. He looks like he's trying to save up for the Command Panther, though. I don't know if I 100% agree with that or not, but double Comet, it might end up being worthwhile. The Panther's anti-infantry capabilities are just so bad. Another phosphorus round right onto this MG-34 forces it to just instantly retreat. I really like that Jove's utilizing this. 3 shots, let alone just 1. I barely ever see the Comet, let alone its abilities used. It's very nice to see Jove putting on a little bit of a show for a relatively widely regarded weak unit. Obersoldaten retreating. Infiltration commandos fighting the Vet 4 SGG Volksgrenadiers with a Vet 5 squad supporting it from the old point of the infiltration commandos as they pulled on in to try and get closer. That HE shot's going to be really hard to deal with, getting a Raketten really used, and a modified M6 being placed down on a main engagement path. Nice flank. Rakettenwerfer finds a shot. Panther misses, lands just shy of the front right armor of that Comet as it backs out, and then returns a shot right on into it. Comet does pen, and the Panther retaliates immediately and pens as well. Secondary Comet is here. Rakettenwerfer moving up, kind of blocking the Panther a little bit. Secondary Cromwell, he doesn't know it's around. This trench is so hard to deal with. He's just walking into it, getting chewed up. Excuse me, this Comet could just wipe the squad, and yeah, that's going to go down. He's fighting so hard to get that incendiary nade onto that trench, but didn't expect the secondary Cromwell Vet 5 STG Volk as a hard loss, no matter how you cut it. MG34 trying to scare away the Comet. It looks like it's actually succeeding a little bit. And there goes. They go ahead and retreat. Meanwhile, in the middle area, we have the MG34 firing on the way. Excuse me, that's a stolen Vickers.
Trying to take one of our points.
Yeah, that's a stolen Vickers inside this building. Does get the squad on and away from the middle VP. Comet finds another shot, that time rear armor from the Panther, and the Panther no longer feeling so great about that, but 2 Comets, 1 dead Volk squad. There goes another Vet 5, and no matter how you write that one's tough. The Command Panther comes in. That was a really unfortunate wipe. That was 4 models in that shot. AG shell, or excuse me, phosphorus shell onto the MG34 again, getting it to retreat immediately. Command Panther now looking really good, as those Comets are just proving to be far harder to deal with than I would have thought. I almost wonder if the saving for the KT would have been better with the Panther already out. However, the Comets could just circle strafe that for ages. Hell, the AEC can circle strafe it for ages. Elbersadon trying to get this Rakettenwerfer down, doesn't succeed. Panther pushes in with a flank of the Command Panther, finds the modified M6, the coordinated fire, both Panthers miss. Unbelievable. He has to be able to get this 6-pounder down. That Rakettenwerfer being forced to retreat on home. Now the aura off of this is going to be nice. I like how he has 2 different armors on these. That's really interesting to know. I wonder if one of the skins is actually coated as medium instead of heavy, but the 6-pounder does go down. It gets destroyed. Infiltration Commando is going to retreat on by. Stern Pioneers are here to heal it up, and the Comet's realizing that he can push in. Where's that Rakettenwerfer? Rakettenwerfer's all the way back at base. He's trying to push into that UKF Soviet UKF phasing technology. They do drive through each other. Can the Panther pick up the kill? Come on, shoot! There goes 1 and 2 shots. Cromwell goes down, or excuse me, Comet goes down. And weakened Panther trying to move on back and lick up its wounds, but the VP count, the drain, it's happening slowly but surely. It's about to go down below 100 VPs, and there's an infantry section on this retreat path for the Panther. This Panther's got to keep on going home. He backs it right up into a building. He runs over a tank trap, some sandbags, main gun destroyed. Oh, both these Panthers are hurting. Stern Pioneers have to go home. The damage engine, can he get out of here? It can defend itself a little bit. Cromwell and Panther both miss, and this Comet might just secure him up. Can he get the snare? Can he get the snare in time? The pen doesn't happen. Faust's coming out. He's going to get it. Can the Comet get this last shot? It bounces again. Panther wildly off the mark, and it looks like both Panthers are going to live. HE shot onto the Obersoldat, and Obersoldat should die here on the retreat path. SG Vet 4 Obersoldat, Vet 3, and there it goes. Infiltration nade onto the building. 1 model infantry section left. These Volksgrenadiers got to go home. The neutralization's all he can afford. If he gets wiped, he's going to have a really bad time. HE phosphorus shot again onto that VP. He does get the trench present from Jove up in the northwest, though. Does he have the ambient repair? He doesn't. Oh my god. These Stern Pioneers got a decade of repairs ahead of them. Rakettenwerfer going home. He was trying to sneak up and get that kill. Can he actually get out of there? MG34 going to cover the retreat path a little bit. Taking a lot of damage, though. Laser pointers on these Vet 3 infantry sections with these Brens. It's just not to be trifled with. But both Panthers live. The problem is he lost 2 Vet 5 Volksgrenadier squads, whereas Jove has only lost 1. And by 1, I mean 1 infantry section. He does have the infiltration commandos backing them up, though. Middle VP changing hands. East VP changing hands. Finndeed. Only enemy right now is Time Firefly, the choice for Jove. Firefly could actually be decent, despite its abysmal turret rotation and actually astronomically poor fire rate, but the tulips could pick up a nice juicy kill for the Comet. allow it to roll on in while it's stunned and get out of there. Base already onto the trench, gets the infantry section a nice retreat path, and the Volksgrenadiers out of the trench. Meanwhile, in the east, we do have the VP changing hands again. Volksgrenadiers grabbing it up. Rakettenwerfer spotted by SGG Volks infiltration commandos and gets annihilated before you can even think about hitting the retreat path. So that's going to be another little old Raketten that could going the way of Jove. Panzer IV needs that generalist tank. I definitely agree with that. That'll help him deal with his infantry. And both Panthers almost repaired up. That nice curve on that Raketten into the rear armor of that Panther.
We're losing a capture point.
Comet finally repaired up, ready to go. MG-34 pops his smoke immediately on the infiltration commandos at the site of the MG-34 and just retreats. So North VP will stay in his control. East VP staying there. We got the nice T-pose bug on the SGG Volks, or Obersoldaten. They're just going to exist for a solid 5 minutes. Panther does find the shot. That's a rear armor hit on that Panther and the Rakettenwerfer, and all of a sudden that Command Panther no longer wants to play. Panzer IV, where is it headed? Just hanging out by the mechanized regiment right now. He needs to get those ambient repairs up and ready to go sooner rather than later. Both cats hanging out in the east. Storm Pioneers trying to repair him up. Firefly with the tulips is going to be backing up the Comet, sitting on the retreat path of the Comet. Firefly finds that shot at an insane length onto the Panzer IV, tags it twice, it looks like. Infiltration commandos, this time walking up, and there's so many craters here that he's able to just get the Gammon bomb right onto him. Can he get the retreat path out of here? Looks like he's going to be able to get out. So MG-34 lives to fight another day. Meanwhile, something ran over a building. MG-34, or is this the Vickers? Yeah, that's the Vickers. Gets a phosphorus shot right onto it. Another modified M6 going down. And there's a triple cap for Jove now. So Panthers moving in, gonna try and fight this Firefly, and they're just gonna be able to bully it immediately. Coordinated fire utilized, extra damage. Can he get the shot? The tulip shot goes down, the snare goes down, everything goes down on to the little old Command Panther that could. Rakettenwerfer turns around, and it's hurting. Rakettenwerfer can't fire through that shot, but the the Comet sure can. And the Panther gets around and behind it, but he picks up that Firefly, no problem. Even with the mine there right in front of him, the Panther misses again. Where's that Panzer IV? Panzer IV pushing up and through the middle, finds that trench. He wants to get him out of there. He has to get him out of there. Piot's onto the sappers, and he finds the kill on the Command Panther. And Tokyo Drift style Comet rolling around. Panther rolls all the way up in behind him. Finds him. And not looking too good for this Comet. Another pen. And I think he's got it. Now he's just got to get on these VPs. Only 30 VPs left. He has a whole 10 seconds. He neutralizes one in the south. So, armor superiority, definitely in the way of Finndeed. Blitz, Krieg tactics utilized. Pedal to the middle. So west and east VPs go his way. Panzer IV in the middle, trying desperately to get these damn trenches out of here. Gets a Rakettenwerfer to retreat, but still in control of Jove. And right now, VP lead, still heavily into Jove's favor, but control-wise, right now, for the time being, in the way of Finndeed. And this Volksgrenadier squad just doesn't want to leave Panther headed back to the base. He really needs the ambient repairs now more than ever, as he needs that Stern Pioneer on the front. Everything coming out, moving for Finndeed out of the base, but it's going to be tough. Panzer IV looks like it's going to take 1 to 2 shots in the rear armor here of this Rakettenwerfer. The sappers are going to pick up that kill for sure if the Rakettenwerfer didn't, and it goes down. So he's going to throw the bundle nade from the replaced Obersoldaten onto this trench. Hopefully it'll be enough. He does hop out and right back in, so Ober's not going to live here much longer. Volk's now requeued. MG34 looking to set up in the middle. Meanwhile, the MG34 puts a suppression into the east, but the VPs are in control of Jove again. And it's about to be a triple cap again. He just doesn't... Losing these two Volksgrenadier squads is going to be what lost him the game from those comets. He has to suicide to stand on the point now. Infiltration Commandos called in just to help deal with stuff, but he didn't get him into the building. He clicked through him. MD-34 hanging out in the middle, and one of the Rakettenwerfers retreats. The other one cloaks up and runs away. He gets into the east. Only 10 VPs left now for Finndeed, but he has 2 VPs about to be under his control. It looks like he's going to hit 9 before he stops the bleed. Losing that Panzer IV also really hurts him because now he doesn't have a way to trade effectively against these infantry sections. He did pick up a wipe on one of the infantry section squads now, however, so he got a wipe on that and on a infiltration commando squad. The problem is that he's got to hold on to these VPs for dear life as he only has 7 left to 140 of Jove. Panther ready to go. Please hit the button. Please, just repair so your Stern Pioneers can be out and about more, please. It's such a cheap upgrade, please. Well, not really that cheap, but Volksgrenadiers hanging out in the trench. MG-34 looking to set up with them. Gammon bomb, most likely being thought about being chucked onto here. AEC carcass does get taken out the rest of the way, so the infiltration commandos will head on home. Panther making short work of that already dead vehicle. MG-34 getting the suppression onto the base RD squad for Finndeed, and he does go home with those squads for Jove, but not before throwing down the base RD, so he's going to have to back on and away from that middle VP, and this is going to buy Jove a little bit of time to potentially push on in while Finndeed resets up his line on this VP. Kettenwerfer keeping tags on the eastern VP, but only a Volk squad there to stop him. The majority of Finndeed's forces in the middle. And Finndeed looking like he's going to play this safely and just kind of wait, hang out. Got 2 VPs. I'll slowly bleed you. I really would unironically like to see him potentially save for a KT. But I assume he's going to go for a Panzer IV. It's just not enough time for a KT. But I kind of think that Command Panther, despite, you know, the mobility of the Panthers, getting him the kills on those comets, I do think that a KT would have been better as a meat shield, potentially. It's so good against UKF. In every game that I've cast, the KT really, despite it being a meme in 1v1, does do wonders against UKF. But Sniper queued up now for Jove. Infiltration Commandos chuck a cheeky Gammon bomb onto the Obersoldaten and managed to do some serious work there. Rakett, that was keeping tags on the eastern VP, does get taken out in tangent of 2 Volksgrenadier squads, one new with no vet and SGGs, so he does grab it up, and the MG-34. And this sniper is going to have to be a serious hero as Jove is nearing the less than 100 VP mark now. See where this goes. That 4 Panther.
We're down to 100 points now.
I'm really curious of what Jove's going to save up for in terms of armor. Flares used. There's the sniper shot onto the Stern Pioneers. If he can get Vet 1 on this, it could actually be very strong with its target weak point. Critical shot. Trying to flank on into it. Sappers with the Piats moving forward. And honestly, I feel like Finndeed fighting into this here is a bit of a mistake. Moving up into this. That's just unnecessary. If anywhere he should be applying pressure, it's here. But there's no reason to move up into this. Especially where he just uses artillery flares. Where is the remnants of those at? See him. Might have been back at base. But curious of where he put those artillery flares. He could have potentially put them up here and went, nah, I don't want to deal with that in any way. Or maybe utilizing them here before it's just pushing into basically Jove's entire army with 2 units. Doesn't seem like the best thing. And the UKF sniper takes a pot shot at what it looks like the Panther and almost drops. And I think with Finndeed's resources, it looks like that if he loses his Panther, he's just going to immediately call on a KT. Modified M6 picked up by the Oberstadt with Vet 1 and the infrared STGs again. Infiltration Commandos moving on over. The STG Volks firing some shots into him. The M2 flamethrower, infiltration nades throwing down to that. Shoe mine built right in front of him, but it's already done. Piat does connect with the Panther, does a little bit of damage, and the Comet is now the choice for Jove. Another ooh, I thought that was a modified M6, but it was actually a trench. He's going to go ahead and cancel it and then queue up another one immediately. Comet is here, ready to go. I don't think he's going to be able to tango with a Vet 4 Panther, though. Another shoe mine being placed, especially with these mines. Very good usage of Finndeed's munitions. The artillery flares at this point really don't give him too much information that he can really act on because he doesn't have the VPs to make any more sort of pushes where he loses ground. So holding ground, converting his munitions into manpower bleed for free is a really good choice. And it looks like Jove's positioning to push from the northwest. And a land mattress comes in. Now this is a good choice for Jove. This will, if he uses on the middle VP, could pick up these shoe mines. So what he's going to do, he's going to wait for this land mattress to get into range. And he's going to throw down as much as he can in this middle area, cause chaos in Finndeed's line, and then try and push up on in and gain control of this middle VP. And there's the base already. Thrown down by the sniper. Sniper moving up, trying to scout for the land matchers, so to speak, after pushing everything off of this middle VP. He does find one of the shoe mines. He won't find this eastern one. The land mattress most likely will. Land mattress takes, or excuse me, the sniper takes a shot into the zero vet STG Volks. Panther rolling forward, gets greeted by the 6-pounder. And all of a sudden, not feeling too great about that. Comet should react here momentarily, and there it goes. It's starting now to come down the road. Land mattress firing on and away. This could also be phosphorus rounds. I'd be very surprised if this is HE, actually. And he knows the infiltration commandos are hanging out on that, so he's trying to shoot at him. MG34 along with the Volks Grenadiers, just trying to keep him from capping this. Neutralize, not the biggest problem in the world, and it's just a regular barrage. I think the phosphorus rounds would just deny so much land from him. Raketin finding the Comet. How the hell did that get snared? Either way, Gammon Bomb goes down. He gets that middle VP. He's going to drop him down to 3 to 2 VPs, depending, but he does get him off of there. And it looks like it's just going to be 3. Nope, it is indeed 2. Base already again on that middle VP, and he has to stick it out now. He can't afford to have that decapped again. He has room for another Command Panther. I didn't see a mine back here. That's the only thing that could have blown up that Panther and snared it, was a shoe mine of his own. Oh, and that sniper along with the base already is just not doing him any favors. MG34, just not in range. It looks like this is going to be it. He's going to have to suicide this squad here. MG34 is too far back, and the sniper will just one-shot him. Command Panther called in, but it's still too late. Yeah. Unfortunate. Oh, he's not walking off. Oh, the MG34 is like, no, please. Please don't cap this. SDG Volks. If he caps this, it's game over. He has to stand in the circle. Can he get inside in time? The sniper here, it just ends up being a great choice because it's just going to bleed manpower for free over and over and over again. And an M2 flamethrower wielding RE sappers against these Vet 5 Volks Grenadiers are just annihilating him. And then here come the Vickers squad, another set of sappers, and that's it. That's all she wrote. Gets the infiltration off, but as soon as that capped, it's GG. Yep, there it goes. GG. Unfortunate. Finndeed got absolutely robbed on that loss of his Panzer IV and a few of those Cromwell kills, but that Panzer IV missing the 6-pounder here is just an absolute joke. Hit it the first time, then missed it. Not on the move, within point blank range, basically misses and then dies because it missed. Absolutely unbelievable. I think everything that could have went wrong in key engagements went wrong for Finndeed. As much as I would have liked to see the meme KT, it didn't happen. We saw a secondary panic command Panther, I would like to say, but Panzer IV could have potentially changed the outcome of this game, but Jove manages to pick it up. Allied OP. But yeah, it's really unfortunate. Really, really unfortunate. Either way, GG's. We'll go ahead and get on to the next one. Hope you guys enjoy the cast.